Howdy everyone, today I am going to make some almond biscotti. So I'm going to run the ingredients that I'm going to need, and then I will tell you as I go along how much I will need of each ingredient. So I will need some almonds because they will be almond biscotti. I will need some flour, some vanilla. You can use vanilla, whichever one you like. I'll need some sugar, almond extract. I will need some baking powder, eggs, and I'm going to add craisins, some melted chocolate when I get these little chips melted. These are going to be for when they're done. I'm going to melt the chocolate, dip an end of the biscotti into the melted chocolate, and then into some walnuts. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to add walnuts to my almond biscotti. Not all of them, just a few, just to make it fun. And of course, I have my spray here for my baking dish, either a baking pan or a cookie sheet, whichever you prefer to use, or if you have a silicone baking pad, you can use that. It all depends whether you need your nonstick spray. All right, so I've got my bowls ready, and I'm going to get started and tell you exactly how much I need of each ingredient as I go along. And I forgot to mention that you will need 3/4 cups of melted butter. And I've already done so in the microwave, in this microwave safe cup. 3/4 of the butter melted, and I am allowing it to cool before I use it. I don't want to scramble the eggs that I will mix in later. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to take 5 cups. That's 5 cups of AP or all-purpose flour. So I've got 4 cups in here. 1 more cup. That's 5 cups of all-purpose flour. And then I've got 4½ teaspoons of baking powder. That sounds like a lot, but that's what this recipe is asking for. 4½ teaspoons of baking powder. And I'm going to stir this thing together until they're well blended and the baking powder is well blended into the flour. Just like that. And I'm doing this in a separate little bowl, and then I'm going to do the next ingredients in a separate little bowl. Mix it up. Now there's a bunch of recipes for biscotti. If you just look them up, you can go to allrecipes.com, which is what I did, and I actually found a walnut biscotti recipe, and then I found like cranberry and orange or lemon, you know, just different things you can do. This is, what I'm adding here is just basic ingredients. Now it also does ask for some different types of extracts or oils. One of them was anise oil. Another one was like a rum oil. And I don't know what that is. I did find the anise oil, but I'm trying to do this on a little bit of a budget. Well, not a little bit, but a small bit of a budget, yeah. Yeah, I guess it is a little bit of a budget. I'm doing this in a budget. I don't want to spend too much money on this, because if I am, well, I might as well go buy a biscotti already made. But the point I want to do for myself is to actually create these or do these meals and snacks and desserts for my family that I've actually made myself. That's homemade, because I want them to have, ever since my boys were little, I wanted them to have home cooked meals. So no matter how many hours I worked during the week, I always came home and made them dinner. That was never, ever, ever something that I did not do. If I was going to work at night, I made the dinners during the day and left it there for them. We do treat ourselves out. We do go out once a week. Sometimes it's on Wednesdays that we do decide that, oh, we're going to order pizza or have some burgers. Sometimes even on the weekends we go have breakfast in the morning. But otherwise, it's always something that I make, whether it's something quick and easy, lazy meal, or we all do it together, or we cook it outside, or I go through the extent of actually using a ton of ingredients and just making something really hearty and delicious that my family will love. But I always make the effort to, I always have made the effort to make them homemade and as much as I can from scratch meals, because I want them to have that memory of their mama. And when grandkids come along, I already want to have this arsenal of recipes in my head and written down, so that then I can do that with them, because it's fun cooking with the kids. And right now I'm cooking with myself, and my husband sometimes helps me, of course. But my boys are all grown up, and now I'm waiting for their little grandkids. Okay, so my flour and my baking powder are well blended and mixed together. The next thing I'm going to do is my sugar, eggs, and the other wet ingredients. All right, in the smaller bowl, I have 1.5 cups of white sugar, just regular white sugar, and 4 eggs. And these I'm going to beat them together with my hand mixer. Just going to mix them really well together, and then I'll add the extracts. Now, I was talking about the extracts. I didn't get the anise oil because it was a little expensive, and I'm trying to cut down, follow a budget, because I want to try and, not want to try, but I've been trying and doing homemade, from scratch meals for my family, even if it's desserts. I'm looking at different recipes online. They don't all call for the anise oil. Some just ask for almond or vanilla or some other like a amaretti or whatever that is. It's like, I guess it's like an amaretti, like a liqueur that you can add to this also. It just depends on what flavors you like. I mean, you can use a lemon extract if you wanted to do a lemon. There's orange extracts. I also saw that there was a pumpkin extract. I would love to try it. It's a pumpkin spice extract that they had at the store, and I would like to try that to make something for fall, like a fall biscotti, just to make something different. Okay, so I'm going to continue beating these eggs and the sugar together, and then I'm going to add the butter, which is nicely cooled, and then I'm going to add here, like I said, that was 3/4 cup of melted butter, and here I've got the almond and the vanilla extract, and I have got 1 teaspoon of almond extract and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. The recipe called for 1/2 cup of almond extract and 1 teaspoon of black almond extract. And as you can see, I've switched it around. So instead of the 1 teaspoon of black almond, I'm using 1 teaspoon of regular almond extract, and the 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract is now vanilla extract. And I will have this in the screen so that you don't get confused by what I just said. I'm going to continue beating this, and I'll be back. Here's the eggs and the sugar beaten together, and as you can see, it got kind of frothy, and that's okay. This might add a little nicer texture to the biscotti. I don't know. All right, my melted butter, I'm just stirring it because, you know, as it has cooled down, the little fat's got on the bottom. It doesn't really matter but if you stir it or not, because it's going to get stirred up in here. So 3/4 cups melted butter. This is, I'm actually using baker's margarine. So don't be afraid to substitute. So this recipe actually calls for oil. Well, actually, I found 2 recipes. This one doesn't call for oil. Another one called for oil, and it was very similar. So I guess you could use oil instead of margarine or butter. I would think that the butter would actually be the best thing to use, but I couldn't find unsalted butter. And you know what? This recipe doesn't even call for any salt, which is kind of odd because everything mostly asks for salt. Okay, so here's my vanilla and almond extract in there. And I'm going to mix them up well. Just get them all, those little flavors together, all nice. All right, so the next thing I'm going to want is chopped either walnuts or almonds. I'm going to use almonds on the inside because I did want to accentuate the almond. I think I said black, when I was mentioning the oils or the extracts, I think I said black almonds, but I meant to say black walnuts. So I want to accentuate the almond flavor here. Now, almonds would be great with a lemon extract also. They make a nice combination, so you might want to think about that one. All right, and I'll be back to show you putting these all together. All right, my husband is cutting some wood out in the garage, so that's what you're hearing in the background. Here I've added about 2 cups of the flour into my egg and sugar. This is the flour and baking powder that I mixed earlier. I'm now mixing it into my sugar, eggs, and extracts and butter here. And I'm going to add a little bit at a time. Oh, the other thing I want to add to this is a cup of almonds, and I'm going to go ahead and throw those in now. I want to make sure they get all nice and blended in there well. You can throw these in at any point. And I'm adding the flour a little bit at a time, so I don't dump all five cups of flour in here and then I'm having a hard time mixing it. You could put it into one of those big mixer blender things, which I do have. I just don't want to dig it out. And I need some exercise, so I'm exercising my arms. Well, at least my right arm for now. Working the biceps as I do this. And I'm just going to gradually add flour as it... Look how pretty that's getting. I think that looks really pretty already. And I'm using a spatula, that way I can also kind of scrape the edges here. And get the flour mixed into it. I'm going to go ahead and continue this so that I can use both hands. Getting all the rest of this flour into this mix. And then I'm also going to add some craisins. And this is what? Half a cup. You can add whatever you want. I'm going to add half a cup of craisins. I don't know, maybe I'll add more. We'll see. And here is my cookie dough after I've mixed it up in the bowl. I went ahead and I got my hands in there, a little bit of flour on my hands, mixed it up, or kneaded it, I guess would be the word, really well, because I wanted the craisins to get in there and try to get those into every little nook and cranny in there. Now I used half a cup of craisins. Now minus the craisins, this would be just a simple, basic almond biscotti. Just leave out the craisins. The craisins are just something that I decided to add because I'm also going to dip them in chocolate. Now, I could have added an orange extract or orange zest and made this an orange and cranberry biscotti. Also, I could, in the melted chocolate that I'm going to do, I could also add an orange zest in that, and that would be awesome to dip into. Okay, so I've made this large ball of dough here with a cookie dough, and it's really big. That's my hand. I don't have a really big hand. Chubby it is, but not long or anything like that. But you can see it is a big cookie dough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in half. Just sort of half here. You don't have to weigh it or anything like that. This is homemade scratch, so we're not doing any specific bakery, dividing everything evenly because, you know, we're going to sell it that way and make it a fair price for everyone. No, this is home baking and cooking, so we do this as we wish. So I've made two sections here now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the first section and I'm going to flatten it down in my greased pan till it's about half an inch thick all the way. And I'm going to put this in the pan, like I said, the cookie pan, which I've greased. This is a non-stick pan. It's not a cookie pan, it's a baking dish. But I decided to use this because I love it. It is non-stick. I'm going to spread this dough about half an inch thick all the way here in my pan. Now, once I've got it, then I'm going to kind of like shape it, you know, nice and straight on each side because I want about 5 inches or so wide, and I want it maybe 10 long or so. It just depends how you divided it. It doesn't have to be an exact measurement. Okay, I've got my oven also preheating at 325 degrees Fahrenheit. And I am going to bake this, let's see, I forgot. I am going to bake this for approximately 20 minutes till I see that it's nice and golden, and then I will pull that out and I will let you know the next step, because there is steps after baking. Once. Hint. As you can see, I'm using foil here, which is going to work just fine. I want to put them in at the same time, and I don't have another baking dish the exact same size as the other one. So looks like that's something I'm going to need to get. Here we go. You can use like your pastry knife, your cutter here to get a nice straight edge if that's what you wanted to do, but I don't. I want kind of a little rounded edge here, like Biscotti has when you cut it up. Okay, so here we go. That one's ready to go in the oven. All right, here I've pulled them out after 20 minutes in a 325-degree oven, and they're not fully cooked, but they are a pale, you can't tell from here, but they are a pale gold on the bottom. I don't know if you can see the difference there. A little pale gold on the bottom. Here we go. And I'm going to let them cool off a bit. Let this focus here. I'm going to let this cool off, and then I'm going to slice them. And I will be back to show you how I slice them and then rebake them. All right, here we go. I've got the cookie dough, and it is cooled off enough where I can go ahead and slice them. And I am slicing them about 1 inch thick, just gently cutting into it because it's still soft and I don't want these to fall apart. And then what I'm going to do is just also gently turn them over, and as you can see, the middle is raw. And I'm going to take each of these pieces and put them back in my baking pan or on my baking sheet and bake them again at the 325 degrees Fahrenheit oven, and this time for about 15 minutes. And I just want to make sure that they're cooked, and then I'm going to pull them out. They're fully baked. I'm going to pull them out, let them cool off, and they'll get nice and hard and crunchy. Now, if you want them even crunchier, you can leave them on a little bit longer. Just keep an eye on them. Make sure they don't burn. They are at a low temperature, so they'll bake slow. But what we need is for all this to get cooked and make sure that it's nice and dry. And it's going to make an awesome biscotti cookie, which I will show you the final results. Well, all the biscotti has baked, and I've taken it out of the pan. And I put it on my wood board here, or you could put it on a wire rack and let them cool off and get a little hard and crunchy. They're very nice and hard now, and they're all completely baked. And how long you put it in the oven for the second baking really is all depending on how crusty you want them. I want them really hard and crusty because I want to dip them in some coffee. So I'm going to take a few of these, and what I've done is I've melted some of the milk chocolate little chips that I have. You can use dark chocolate or any other, maybe white chocolate if you wish. I use just a milk chocolate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to smear the chocolate on one of the ends. Just kind of paint it on with my little spatula, or roll it around and let it pick up chocolate on its own. I was actually holding it in my hand while I was putting it on with the spatula. Once you've got, you know, the amount of chocolate that you want on your biscotti, I don't want it all over it. I just want it on the little tip there. And I'm going to get it all the way around. But for the sake of the video, I'm just going to show you that. Then I'm going to put it over here. And I'm going to take some of these crushed walnuts. You could do almonds, because since they are almond flavor, you can do almond in there. But I decided that I wanted to do walnut. And here I've got some 3 of them that I've already dipped in chocolate and put some walnuts on it. All right, so now for the taste test, I'm going to take some of my biscotti and dump into the hot coffee that I've prepared for myself. It could be some hot chocolate or some hot tea, whatever your preference is. So good. It is just what I wanted. A perfect crunchy cookie was dipped into some hot coffee. Delicious, perfect for a nice fall afternoon, a Sunday, as today. Mix them up for your friends, mix them up for your family. Wrap them up in little plastic bags with a cute little bow. Maybe put them in a cute little cup. Wrap it up with some cellophane and put a little bow on it. Makes a nice little gift for Christmas, the holidays coming up. Or just because you want to make something special for someone. I hope you enjoyed this recipe for biscotti. You can switch it up as you like. Please leave some comments and what you would do to change it up. And if you tried this, let me know what you thought of it. And also make sure you like and subscribe. And enjoy.